What's up, YouTube fragrance family and friends? Tommy with Studio Sense here, and I think I owe you guys an apology. Yesterday I released a video that apparently had some issues. I actually watched the final edit twice and I didn't see any issues, but apparently there's an audio issue, and I will get that fixed very shortly, and I will re-upload my short fall haul. So that will be coming very shortly. But I wanted to get on this video because I've been wanting to produce this for you guys for several days now. So we're gonna do this first, and then we'll focus on fixing the short fall haul video. The reason I wanted to go ahead and produce this video for you guys is it's one of my favorite fragrance genres. Dessert fragrances are better known as gourmand fragrances. I mean, who doesn't like dessert? Especially after a fine meal, and if you're a coffee drinker, there's nothing better than your favorite dessert and a cup of hot beverage. So when we come back, I'm gonna feature my top 7 favorite fall gourmand fragrances for men, that and more, so stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. So as promised, we're going to be talking about 7 fragrances today that are of the dessert or gourmand genre. Probably my favorite fragrance genre. Now, there's some confusion surrounding what a gourmand fragrance is. The really quick and easy way to kind of get it straight in your head is anything that is or has edible qualities about it. If a fragrance has an overabundance of fragrant notes that are edible in the cuisine world, like if a fragrance is loaded down with honey and cinnamon and coffee, that's a gourmand fragrance. So if it's edible, it's likely gourmand. There's an example I'll be using today that doesn't have a ton of edibles, but it's got coffee in it, and that makes it a gourmand fragrance. So without going super far down that rabbit hole, let's go ahead and jump into my list of top 7 fragrances that are excellent for cold weather and that are very gourmand, that are very sweet, that are very dessert-like. I love these fragrances, and I hope you guys enjoy the list. So the very first fragrance, we're gonna do a top 7. So we're gonna start with our number 7. My number 7 pick for favorite gourmand fragrances to use during cooler weather is Hugo Boss The Scent Private Accord. Now the Scent Private Accord basically has ginger, it's got mocha, it's got a little bit of cacao, and it also has that maninka fruit that sets it apart from other fragrances. So maninka fruit is yes, it's an aphrodisiac, and it is also one of those, it's got very similar qualities to chocolate. It's kind of warm, inviting, kind of creamy, melty, but it's a little bit rougher. So it's kind of a dusty, resinous quality about maninka fruit, and that's what sets this fragrance apart from all others. There's really not any fragrances that smell quite like Private Accord, and that's why it's my number 7 pick for favorite gourmand fragrances. Coming in at number 6 of my favorite cool weather or fall gourmand fragrances for men is a Salvatore Ferragamo pillar fragrance of this line of fragrances, Salvatore Ferragamo's Womo. In the line of Womo fragrances, you've got Casual Life, Urban Feel. Those are all like summer, springtime fragrances. They're really nice. But for cool weather, most people talk about Signature and often forget about the pillar fragrance, Womo. Womo is a tiramisu. Tiramisu is a dessert that is primarily coffee flavored. So if you like coffee, if you like sweetness, if you like creamy, warmth, milky, smooth, again, did I say sweet? Sugar, you'll love Womo. It's almost like syrupy in a way. But the cool thing about that is it's not overwhelming. When you spray it on, it begins to dry off. Some of that sweetness, that heavy sweetness, starts to die away, and you get this really masculine but still very dessert-like fragrant. And that's why Salvatore Ferragamo Womo is my number 6. Now I know this is just a list of 7, but we are down to my top 5 fragrances for cool weather that are dessert-like or gourmand. So my number 5 gourmand or favorite cool weather sweet fragrance for men is a newcomer to the scene. It was released this year, 2021, by Jean-Paul Gaultier. It is Scandal Pour Homme. Jean-Paul Gaultier wanted to add like a boxer as a additional archetype to his sailor archetype. And so this fragrance is a really masculine, overall it's a masculine fragrance, but what I love about it is the caramel. There's another fragrance in this list that uses caramel to a darker degree. This one is more of the lighter side of caramel. It's milky, creamy. That comes to the forefront. Mixes really well with a clary sage and lavender duo. And then in the background, you've got a little bit of vetiver with a good heavy dose of tonka bean to ramp up that sweetness. If you were to take Ultramalt, take out the bubble gum and put caramel in, this is what you would come up with. And that's why it's my number 5 favorite fall or cool weather gourmand fragrance for men. Coming in at my number 4 of favorite cool weather fragrances that are gourmand for men is a Ralph Lauren fragrance in the Polo line of fragrances. Talked about it many times on my channel, and it remains one of my favorite coffee-oriented fragrances. That is Polo Red Extreme. Polo Red Extreme has a really nice combination of aldehydic, so it's like dry, but like an elegant kind of dryness. And then it's got right on top of that just supreme amount of a coffee flavor. It's only lightly sweet. This is one of the lighter sweet gourmand fragrances in this list, and that also makes it a little bit unique. It's like a coffee with a lot of cream and about half the sugar. Boasting excellent performance, this is one of the better performing gourmand fragrances, will last you all day. Polo Red Extreme, and that's why it's my number 4. Alright guys, we're down to my top 3 fall gourmand fragrances for cool weather, similar to Scandal pour Homme, but taking it in a very different direction. This next fragrance features another caramel note that is darker. It is Azzaro's The Most Wanted. In the Wanted line of fragrances, Wanted by Night still is my favorite, but The Most Wanted is really bumping its way up there. This is a performer. It's a beast of a gourmand fragrance. But what you really notice in this fragrance is that combination of amberwood, tonka bean, and toffee. Toffee, I often think of caramel. They're very similar. They have that same kind of milky creaminess. Amberwood makes it dark. On top of that, with the cardamom, makes it very rich, creamy, and accessible. Extremely masculine. One of the better gourmand fragrances in the design house arena that's come out in the past decade. Azzaro's The Most Wanted. And of course, this would not be a gourmand list if we left out Emporio Armani and the Stronger With You line. So Stronger With You Intensely is my number 2. Suede, vanilla, amber, cinnamon, toffee, caramel, lavender. There's a ton of other spices and notes in this fragrance that make it really just sweetly, sweetly gourmand, and it's a heavy layered fragrance. This is one of those that you don't want to overspray, but I'm telling you, when you smell this, it's got such a unique profile and body, and it's a perfect time of year to wear this fragrance. I mean, when you think about it, when's the best time to wear a edible or gourmand type fragrance? When you're going to be spending time with people eating food, right? You got Thanksgiving, you've got Christmas. Most people cook like a big Christmas meal when everybody's gathered around the table. Gourmand fragrances are a perfect pairing for the holidays. This is one of those perfect Thanksgiving Christmas pairings in a bottle, and that's why it's my number 2. All right, guys, we are down to my number 1 favorite pick for cool weather fall fragrances that are gourmand, sweet, and edible. This one was kind of tough, but not really. It's a unique fragrance insofar as it is now currently discontinued, so you can no longer get it without paying, you know, upwards of 120 bucks online. Yet it still remains one of my favorite dense, rich, dark, lightly heavy, syrupy fragrances for fall and winter. It is a Terry Mugler fragrance, Angel for Men's Pure Tonka. Pure Tonka is literally just that. It's like an overabundance of tonka bean. It's a tremendous amount of coumarin, which is a key ingredient, like a portion of the fougere part of tonka bean. The smell in this fragrance ranges from hay to marzipan to vanilla to sour cherries to licorice and cloves, all contained in a single bottle, in a single formula. The top note is mint. You don't really catch that mint note very much, though. It lifts, kind of elevates some of the other notes as a supporting note. You've got lavender in the heart. There's quite a bit of lavender in here. You don't really catch a ton of that, though, until it starts drying off. But your primary players in this are, you've got coffee. It's a good bit of coffee. There's cappuccino, coffee in a couple of forms. You've got a tremendous amount of coumarin, tonka bean, cacao, vanilla, licorice, and lastly, patchouli to add a little bit of, you know, dank earthiness in there, as if you needed it with that much tonka bean. It is a tremendously heavy fragrance, one that you don't want to overspray. If you do own this fragrance, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's a very intense, strong fragrance, one of the strongest, I think, that Mugler has produced in the Amen line, and that's why it's my number 1 gourmand fall pick. So it's a great fragrance, and sadly it's discontinued. Maybe they'll bring it back. Maybe they'll reformulate it a little bit, you know, to modernize it maybe. Although it's a very modern smelling, one of the more masculine smelling fragrances in the Angel for Men line. Well, this wraps up my top 7 picks for fall and cooler weather. for gourmand or sweet, dessert-like fragrances that are still very masculine. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed doing it for you. If you've got any of these fragrances, let me know what your experience with them is like. Let me know what gourmand favorites that you have in the comments below. Guys, again, thank you so much for stopping by and checking out today's video. And as always, thank you so much for your support on my channel. I'm Tommy with Studio Sense, and I'll see you tomorrow.